It's about that time of day again. My name is Joseph. It's Tuesday evening, August the 8th. Welcome back to your nightly newsletter. We're covering crude oil, S&P, Nasdaq, gold, and euro this evening. Crude is range-bound ahead of the weekly inventory report, telling us to stick to the edges, buying the lows, selling the high, and avoiding the middle tomorrow. The S&P is bearish with a strong spike lower as it tries to retest the prior week low. And we're watching for one of four specific patterns setting up for Wednesday's session. The Nasdaq is also bearish, another strong spike lower, and we have a key resistance trend line sitting overhead we're going to use for the most reliable selling opportunities tomorrow. Gold, the yellow metal, is bullish and trying to retest today's high, but we have a major resistance level standing in our way, so we're watching a key level support for buying opportunities tomorrow. And don't forget about the euro. The euro is bearish, but we have two big clues on the chart telling us to avoid selling this move lower and look for a hidden channel and a possible full trend reversal on Wednesday's session. We got a great newsletter in store for you guys and gals tonight. We got some big ranges, some strong moves to finish off today's session. We got some big news tomorrow for all you crude oil traders. Got a great plan of attack for Wednesday's session. Before we jump in though, I do want to remind you the only place to watch this full-length version of this video is on our blog at sidewaysmarkets.com. If you're watching the video right now on our YouTube channel, not to worry, there's a link in the description of the YouTube video. Follow that link and come join me here on the blog at Sideways Markets for the full-length version. While you're here, please don't forget, join the mailing list. I'll send you an email every evening when the nightly newsletter goes live. Follow me on social, lower left-hand corner, pick whatever your favorite flavor of choice. Follow me on social media throughout the week for important charts, links, and updates. And speaking of charts, don't forget to grab those charts right below the video tonight on the blog. The feedback that you guys are always so kind enough to send me is you guys love the fact that you can download those charts. So grab those charts and have them ready for your trading day tomorrow. And please, 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 if you do one thing else besides watch tonight's video, make sure you grab that free pass. You're going to learn more with me in 90 minutes on that free pass than you will anywhere else on the interwebs. I can guarantee you that. Grab your free pass in the upper right-hand corner. Please don't forget, I'm always here to help. If you have any questions, hit me up on live support on the lower right-hand side of the website. I look forward to speaking with you guys and answering all your questions. Hope you guys had a great day out there today. Boy, how about that pendulum swing on crude oil from last night's newsletter? That's all right. The past is history. We're only as good as our next trade. So let's buckle down, roll those sleeves up, and get ready for hump day. Tomorrow, of course, is Wednesday, August the 9th. What do we have here on the schedule for tomorrow? Well, we are coming out of news tonight. We get some news from China. The CPI number comes out tonight just after 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. So if you trade in the overnight session, make sure you're aware of that. That is always certain to move the needle. Tomorrow morning, we have some what is seen as major news, but it's probably not going to impact us too badly. Regarding housing starts, you know, one of the biggest exports besides amazing people, hockey, and curling is crude oil, right? They export a lot of crude oil from the country of Canada. So of course, the housing starts tomorrow. If you're trading crude, definitely keep an eye on that. We normally don't see Canadian news, right? CAD news affect us too badly, but you know, hey, maybe we see that moving needle tomorrow morning around 8:15 a.m. I would really only expect crude to be affected by that tomorrow, though, for the housing starts in Canada. Outside of that, we get some minor news tomorrow at 8:30, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to worry about that too much. Then we jump down to the big news tomorrow. Pretty much the big news of the day tomorrow, I think, is the petroleum status report. It's not going to affect the E-minis. It shouldn't affect gold or euro, but it will definitely have an impact for any crude traders out there tomorrow. Couple things you want to remember about Inventory Wednesday, right? One of the beautiful parts about trading crude oil is that you really only have to worry about one news event every week, and that is the weekly inventory report. So tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m., right? This is go time for all the crude traders. Well, let me back that up. It's actually a time during the week that a lot of professional traders choose to sit on hands and let the chaos ensue. They'll trade around it, right? So I don't want to say it's go time. It's kind of sit on hands time tomorrow as that weekly report comes out and whips all around. Now I know there are definitely gamblers out there that are just in it for the excitement tomorrow around 10:30 a.m. But I'll tell you right now, if you're looking for a long-term profitable career as a trader, you'll take my advice and you'll steer clear of that weekly inventory report. Yeah, you can make some money in a short period of time, but that knife cuts both ways, and it usually cuts deeper when it takes the money back. So be very, very careful around the inventory report tomorrow. A couple things you want to be aware of. Again, I'll be trading around the report. I will trade before, and we will look for opportunities afterwards, but I always give it at least 15 minutes before the news comes out tomorrow. So 10:15 a.m. Eastern time is the cutoff, and then at least 5 minutes after the news comes out, if not 10 or 15 minutes. It all depends on how the price action looks after that news comes out tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Right? So one of the big things on Wednesdays, and again, it's really once a week on Crude, is really anything after 10 o'clock, 10:05, 10:10. You really got to be careful if you trade in the oil market tomorrow. Then after the news comes out, 10:40-ish, you can start looking for those end of the morning opportunities. But again, be very, very careful around that inventory report. One more thing here for tomorrow. I've got some support and resistance levels published that you guys can use tomorrow for Wednesday. They're only good for tomorrow's session. If you follow me on social media, I send it out to our Stock Twits followers, Facebook, Twitter followers. So you guys got those levels already. If you want more information on these support and resistance levels that we're only going to be using for Wednesday's session, you can find them on the chart in just a moment, or scroll down below tonight's video and you'll see a link down there that says click here to read more. Follow that link and you'll see all these support and resistance levels. They're right below this video on our blog here at Sideways Markets, so make sure you're aware of those tomorrow. Outside of that, not a lot of major news tomorrow, so let's keep moving to charts. Again, weekly inventory report tomorrow morning. Get to it early. After 10 o'clock, things start going a bit haywire. And this will be interesting because we have a trading range setting up right now on crude oil. We don't normally see this. This is kind of interesting. We don't normally see a range-bound market ahead of the weekly inventory report. So one of the things we're going to kind of go out on a limb here for tomorrow is the weekly inventory report. Oftentimes we see a very, very chaotic environment on Wednesdays. So we're going to do our best tomorrow. But right now, a trading range during an inventory day, we don't see this very often. So tomorrow is definitely expected to be possibly a bit of a weird one. We'll see. We're going to do our best. So crude is range bound with a triangle, measured move, and inventory levels of support and resistance to work with on Wednesday. The triangle tells us to treat this like a range. Buy the low, sell the high, avoid the middle, focus on failures, and use the 2-try rule tomorrow. The measured move, right, and the inventory support and resistance levels are going to be used for buying opportunities above and below the range. Now, again, one thing to remember for tomorrow is get to it early, right? And we oftentimes see major trend reversals ahead of that news and after the news. So really anything can happen on inventory day. So we'll be definitely keeping our eyes and ears open tomorrow. Now, as you can see here, I posted the inventory support and resistance levels that we'll be using for Wednesday's session. These will only be good until closing bell tomorrow afternoon. You can write these levels down, or you can just scroll below the video tonight on the blog at Sideways Markets, and you can copy and paste them onto a worksheet or to a Word document, right, and add them to your charts, right, tomorrow. So those levels, both above and below the range, I'm going to add those on here tonight. We'll trade them tomorrow morning with all of our clients in the trade room, and we'll use them as support and resistance. Most important thing in this chart right now, as I mentioned earlier, we don't see this very often, but ahead of inventory report right now, we are seeing a range-bound market. Lower highs, higher lows. It's a triangle, but really what you want to think about with a triangle is to trade it as a range. Now, we talked about this last night on the euro, if I recall. Remember the euro last night, right? Worked beautifully to sell off the high on the euro today. Hope you guys took my advice on that last night. What you really want to do on a triangle is focus on the edges, right? So get it down so we can get it back up, right? Focus on the edges. Focus on the outer extremes, right? You really don't want to worry too much about this stuff right in the middle, right? This is always going to be the most challenging price action. Now, whenever I see a trading range, I always think buy the low, sell the high, and focus on failures using the 2-try rule. So what does that mean? Well, let's say price breaks lower here. 1 try down, 2 tries down. Once that second try fails, right, then we start looking for those buying opportunities back inside the range. Obviously, we have support levels down here at 48.86. I have a measured move at 48.66, right? We get kind of the edges of this triangle, 48.54, right? You can see we also have, right, the 48.74, the 48.41, right? So we got a bunch of levels below this range that we can use here for 1 try, 2 try, and then back up in. Same time, price goes higher. 1 try, 2 try, right, and then back down. And once we start seeing that second try fail, then we know, right, that we have the selling opportunities setting up. Again, focus on the extremes here. Focus on the edges, right? 49.59. We have 49.73 as an API level, right, an inventory level for tomorrow. We have the 49.76, we get the big round number. So these areas overhead here will make for excellent areas to fade that move. Now there's one thing, again, with the inventory report being tomorrow, I have no intention on fading the actual news report tomorrow. Okay, so I want to make sure that's very, very clear. When I talk about fading the move, I'm talking about fading moves before 10:15 tomorrow morning. Okay, do not even try to fade the inventory report, right? If you value the money in your account, right, if you'd like to keep the money in your account, I would recommend staying away from trading the actual news report tomorrow, either before 10:15 or after, 10:40-ish, right, depending on when that news comes out. Stay away from the middle, right? Try to get it down, failure back up, failure back down, right? And again, we don't see these range-bound markets ahead of inventories very often. So tomorrow could be a wild one, right? We may see this market break up, hold, and go. I mean, in all reality, we could see a successful breakout pullback. We could see a successful breakout pullback. We're not used to seeing ranges ahead of it, or it could be a very, very narrow, tight range tomorrow, and we're just sticking to the edges, buying low, selling high, and setting price in. No matter what happens tomorrow, you know where I'm going to be. I'll be in our trade room tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock Eastern time, right, kicking butt with all of our advanced members. Hope to see you guys there with me. Let's keep going. How about some S&P? The S&P is bearish with a strong spike lower, a resistance trend line, a gap on the chart, and the prior week low for us to use tomorrow. Now, this strong spike lower tells us that these sellers should have no trouble retesting that low. And once completed, we then look for a lower low before we can tell which pattern we get tomorrow. Basically, with this strong move down, we're looking at this really in terms of one of 4 patterns, which we'll go over in just a moment. The overhead resistance trend line can be used for selling opportunities, right, along with that prior week low, that triple down, and the quadruple down can all be used as profit targets. Now, we're going to see examples of this on the S&P as well as the Nasdaq tonight, but obviously both of these markets, all of the E-mini markets, right, made a nice dip into that battle zone we talked about from last night's newsletter, took off to the upside, and then clearly something came out this afternoon. I'll let you guys decide what that something is. I really don't care about the news itself. All I care is whatever happened, the market is very, very bearish. And real quickly about that, it's very easy as a new trader. I know that I wasted a good number of years of my life worrying about the why. I really don't care why this market dropped lower. And the sooner you understand the why doesn't make you money and to ignore the why, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the news media says was the cause. It doesn't matter what Bloomberg's website was the cause. It doesn't matter the why. All that matters is that something clearly disrupted this market, and we're now seeing a very, very strong move down. Now, speaking of which, that strong move down really puts us in a position to look for 4 different scenarios. The strong move down, if it makes a new lower low, one scenario is a spike in channel. One scenario is a spike in channel. Second scenario with a new lower low would be a spike and wedge. Possible spike and wedge. Spike and wedge, second scenario. Third scenario would be a spike and range. spike and range. That's the fourth scenario here for tomorrow, right? Sorry, the third scenario. My math a little bit off there. What's the fourth scenario? The fourth scenario would be, which doesn't look probable, but it's definitely possible, and that would be if we can't make a lower low, we then turn into a flag pattern. So here's our four situations that you want to be looking at for tomorrow. All four of these, whether we're talking about a spike in channel, spike in wedge, spike in range. Let's wrap things up. Well, we have covered a ton of information tonight. One of the big things we talked about tonight, right, was on the gold, right? Those three things we look for right after a trend reversal. So make sure you pay attention and trade that plan for tomorrow. Don't forget, if you want to learn more about everything that it means to be a student here at School of Trade, we got one of the best, I think it's the best, but I'm biased obviously, right? One of the best free trials in the business. Check out the free trial on the homepage of schooloftrade.com. Learn more about our 3 levels of membership. And I'm out of here, guys. You guys have been too kind with me. Spent way too much time with you guys tonight here. I'll let you guys go. Have some fun with family and friends. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time. If not, same time, same place tomorrow. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.